So to prepare for a test, you need to do some studying. Studying isn't something that necessarily starts just before the test. It's something that should be happening throughout the unit. And there's various tools you can use. Today we're going to talk about my favorite tool, and it is a website called Quizlet. Now, Quizlet is based on something called flashcards, and flashcards are something that I used a lot when I went to school because computers were not nearly as prolific, and we had to use flashcards. They were just a little, basically, piece of paper that was big enough to write on the front the word that you were looking to learn the definition of. And when you flipped it over, you had enough space that you could write a sentence or two on the back for the definition. This website called Quizlet takes advantage of that concept, but it does it digitally. So you don't have to remember to bring your flashcards with you wherever you go. As long as you have access to the internet, you can access your Quizlet. To sign up for Quizlet, you need to create an account. And if you are under the age of 13, which many of you are, you cannot create an account without your parents' permission. I'd recommend that you sit down with your parents and you actually have a look at this video before you try and sign up. When you do sign up, it will ask you to create an account, and then it'll ask you to put in your birth date. Please don't lie about your birth date. Put in your real birth date. But as soon as you put in your birth date and it shows that you're under 13, it'll ask for your parents' email address. And that means that when you go to register, it will send them an email and ask their permission for you to set up an account. And if you've gone through the video with them here, then chances are, I'm hoping anyways, that they will decide that yes, you can set up your own account, and they'll let you do that. Now, once you're in, you need to create a flashcard set. And I recommend you do a different flashcard set for each unit that we do. We did the scientific method earlier this year. Now we're going to move on and we're going to do ecosystems. If you're in grade 8, you'll be doing different units, but the concept's the same. Up at the top, there's this little blue purple plus sign. When you click on that, it gives you some options. What you want to create is a flashcard set. And it will give you the opportunity to give it a title. It's going to ask you to sign up for the paid version, and you do not need the paid version as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to give this a title based on something that will help me remember. And now we're good to go. Now we have to start entering our terms and our definitions. There's a couple different ways we can do that. We can go through our notes. We can also go through Google Classroom. And if you go back sort of to the beginning of the unit, so where we started on ecosystems, you can go in there and you can have a look at what definitions and terms are included in the various topics. So if you remember when we went into do the breakout, that there were some different terms that we had learned and that you found them through these pages. We also made a note in class that had the definitions for many of those terms. So that's the other place you can look. Other than in Google Classroom, you can go look at your notes, and they will have in many cases, most of the terms that we need. There'll be a few things that aren't there. Another final great place to look is in the actual check-ins that we've been doing. Go back and look at the check-ins, not the scientific method ones, but if you go back to the ecosystems ones, those questions that are on there are based on that vocabulary. Once you start finding your vocabulary, you're going to start entering the terms in here. So one of our first terms that we learned in class was ecosystem. Now, if you type in ecosystem there, and then you push tab to go over here, you can sometimes have it create possible definitions for you. Now, we learned that an ecosystem is all the living things interacting with each other, which is kind of a community, and with the non-living things in their environment. Well, that's what abiotic means. So I really like this definition. In fact, any one of these three happen to be okay. It's not always the case, but in this case it is. So I didn't even have to type the definition. It's there. I can go through and I can put in a few more terms that we've learned. And once we put that in here, we can start to, any living thing, an individual living thing. I like that. We can add another card. We'll talk about a population. That's all of All those group of being studied, no. So this is an example where this isn't quite the population that we're looking for. Because remember, for ours, a population is all of the individuals of a same species in an area together. So let's try putting in okay, so we'll put something in here. And you could keep adding. In fact, you want to add as many of the terms as you can. Now, I want to point out one more thing. If you actually look this time, I've put in this sheet here, the important concepts to know from this unit. If you click on it, it actually has in it virtually all of the terms that you're going to need to know. Now, the teacher won't always give you this, but if they give you this, it's a good thing to look at. Now, here's my problem. If I just simply copy and paste things from here, copying and pasting requires me to do no thinking about the actual terms. That means that we don't learn anything from copying and pasting it over. So I much prefer you look at the word here. And so I might go food chain. All right, cool. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a card for food chain. If I don't know what a food chain is at all, I can go back and reread the definition for it. A visual representation showing the feeding relationship between organisms. A food chain shows the primary pathway the energy flows within an ecosystem from the sun through producers to consumers. Well, that's a very in-depth definition. That's great. It shows the pathway. Oh, the relationship between feeding organisms. It started to give me one. It helps if I spell things right. Shows the pathway energy takes through the food chain, through the ecosystem, starting with the sun to producers through the various consumers. Now notice how I didn't just copy word for word what it said over here. I tried to put it in my own words. I'm going to do that for all the terms. Now for this example, I'm going to just stick with those four. I'm going to click on create. And I've now made my flashcard set. And with the flashcard set, which is like with the old recipe cards that I used to use, I had the front to look at, and the real magic comes from me looking at this and going, okay, can I define it? And you try and define it. So an ecosystem is all the living things interacting with each other and with the non-living things in their ecosystem. Now, if I look at this, it's not the exact wording, but a community means all the different living things. And it talks about the non-living things, which is abiotic. So yeah, I kind of got it. So we're good. We're good. Now I can actually go on here and I can click on, I'm going to track the progress. And I'm going to say, yep, I got that one right. So it puts it in one pile. And if I say an organism is something that is an animal, and I click on that and I go, an individual living thing. Oh, living things are more than just animals. They're plants, they're fungi, they're different things like that. So I got that one wrong. I'm going to click on wrong. And what it does is it will actually allow me to go back and it'll kind of skip the ones that I already got right and allow me to focus on the ones that I got wrong. So this is a great study tool. As I go, I can continue to add more cards to this set. I would simply go down here and go add and remove terms. And the best way to do this is as the unit goes on, I just keep going back and adding more things. So that's it. That is a Quizlet, and I hope that you guys can make good use of that.